Hello, welcome to Mindset to Results. Today we are going to explore something that affects every single person, but very few people truly understand it. It's your imagination. Most people think imagination is just for entertainment or creativity. But in reality, imagination is one of the most powerful forces shaping your identity, your emotions, and ultimately your results. And the question is not where you use imagination. The question is, what are you using it for? Are you using it to escape your life or to design your future? Today's conversation is going to open a deeper perspective on that, and our guest today is Neo Shadowfall. Hi, Neo.
Hello.
Hi. So, I'm joined today by Neo, who actively works with imagination on a daily basis through storytelling and creating immersive worlds. We are going to explore not just what he creates, but what processes reveals about how the human mind works, how we experience reality, and how imagination influences who we become. Let's start here. What drew you into creating stories and imaginative worlds in the first place now?
Well, since I was a kid, I've always had a big imagination, and I just loved making random stories in my head, but I never really did anything with it. I tried making books once before, I had failed in doing so, but in more recent times, I decided to give it a second try, and this time I ended up succeeding. The main reason I do it is because it gives me an escape from how my world's problems are, problems in my life, but it also helps me grow with my life because I'm understanding the world a bit better through, fictional stuff I create.
That's really interesting. When you create these worlds, where do the images come from for you? It is something you consciously design, or does it feel like it appears on its own?
Well, sometimes it's kind of both. Out of like I just comes to me sometimes. Sometimes it just comes straight from out of nowhere. And the other times I really think about it and I make something up just there on the spot and yeah.
I'm curious about something deeper here. When you spend time in these imagined worlds, how does it affect your emotional state?
Well, it kind of depends on what scene I'm writing, but um if I'm writing a happy scene, I get really happy. Same if I'm writing an angry scene. My emotions kind of match whatever I'm writing. So whatever my character is feeling, I'm also feeling.
Hmm. Yes, interesting. And this is what sometimes many people experience. Yes, we all imagine things constantly, sometimes consciously and sometimes unconsciously. Do you think what we repeatedly imagine starts shaping how we feel and how we see life?
Yes, I do think that our imaginations do affect how we feel and what we see life as. Because if you read a lot of horror, or if I write a lot of horror, then I'm going to start seeing the darker aspects in life. Just like if I was to read a romance, I would start to see more of the romance parts of life. Just like if I'm reading romance, I'm going to feel love and emotions regarding around that. Just like I would feel fear if I was to read horror. Kind of same with the writing of it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, let's explore this destination. There is imagination that expands you, and imagination that can pull you away from reality. Where do you think that line is?
Well, I'm honestly not sure, but I do think it's a little too far if you're constantly imagining things and that's all you're doing with your time. Where it's like for hours on end, you're imagining something and you're not doing anything else. Then I think it's a bit too far and you're going too far from reality when all you're doing is thinking about, well, anything other than life or how life is going. You're more just imagining everything all the time. I think that's kind of where the line is, I guess.
Mm? So, how do you find that balance between imagining and writing new stories and living life, which is your real life?
Well, I try to remember the relationships I have in my life so that way I'm not constantly focused on my writing and my imagination. I'm more thinking about the relationships I have in my life as well. So that way I'm thinking about both things without one or the other taking full control of what I think of.
Hmm. So, how is the genre which you create story? For example, like let's say you this month you work on one story or on one book. So, does it the genre which you choose affects or impacts your relationship with other people?
I It probably does affect it, but I'm not sure how it would because I write fantasy,
Mm-hmm.
um, which actually, now that I think about it, it probably does affect my relationships because with my fantasy that I write, there's a lot of anger embedded into the story, and sometimes that anger can pour out from the writing into my relationships. Kind of like with the other emotions. If I'm writing too in depth into it, sometimes the emotions can bleed through from the writing to my relationships, which can either harm them or make my relationships better depending on the emotion.
Mm-hmm. Some people use imagination as the way to disconnect from challenges. Others use it to create something new in their life. From your perspective, how can someone recognize the difference?
Well, I do both of them. I try to get away from my problems whenever they're too much for me in my writing, but I'm also trying to create something new. So there's something new in my life. And I think the difference between the two is more like if you're writing only because you have a problem or if you're writing because you want to write. Because if you're writing just because you have a problem, then you're trying to get away from your problem.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're
Okay.
writing just because you want to and you're trying to create something new.
Mm-hmm. So, what is the big what is it in most cases when you
I
write?
like I like to write. It's very fun for me, and it gives me a lot of joy. So I think that I write more mainly just because I want to create something new. I like creating things.
Mm, yeah, great. So you're someone who creates experiences for others through your work. Do you ever think about the emotional impact your stories have on people who read it?
Yes, I do. Think about that quite often. When I make a character, I try to make it to where they can relate to somebody in the world. So that way, when somebody reads it, they can relate to that character.
Mhm.
And I try to make emotions as real as possible in my books. So when a character in the book is feeling fear, I want that fear to be so real that the readers also feel it. Or the same for like happiness or joy or anger. I try to make my emotions feel alive in them so that way other people also feel the emotions while they're reading.
Hmm. Do you ever think about the emotional impact your stories have on people?
I do think about it quite often.
So, what do you want that emotional impact to be?
Well, I want them to open my book and read it and think about how, well, I'm not the only person going through whatever they're going through, or, this makes me feel happy. I want them to feel joy and happiness while they're reading it.
Hmm. And what do you want people to feel after engaging with what you create? Like joy and what impact you want your books to have in their life?
Well, I hope it's a more of a comfort for them when they're feeling down, or even if they're feeling happy, just to go to my books and just read them and just feel really good about themselves after reading it. I want it to lift up people so that
Oh,
people realize that life isn't super bad. There are some really good things in life, and I want my books to be one of those things for people.
I want to acknowledge something here. Having a strong imagination is a very powerful ability. Now, everyone has that. Not everyone has that at the same level. So let me ask you this: how could that same ability be used to create something that uplifts, empowers, or inspires people?
Well, I could create a story, right? Because I can use my imagination to create a story about my own experiences to help others through whatever experiences they're going through. So they realize they're not alone, and that uplifts them, realizing they're not alone, and makes them feel better about themselves based on my own experiences or any other party's experiences. I can use my imagination to uplift them, make them feel better about themselves that way.
Great. So, have you ever considered exploring a different directions with your storytelling?
Other than writing books, I was thinking if I ever made it big, I would like it to be a movie or a TV show. But anything other than that, I have not thought about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so maybe you thought about creating something where the focus is more on growth, transformation, or empowerment.
Yes, actually, my newest book that I'm currently writing focuses a lot on growth and transformation.
Tell me
And
a little bit about it.
okay, so it isn't released yet. I haven't published it, and I'm still working on it. But it's a 17-year-old girl who is a werewolf, but she hasn't turned yet. She struggles with abusive parents, and she's very shy and whatnot. But her influences at school make her more confident and trying to do better for herself in her own life. And that's just my newest book that I haven't done writing yet, but it's more on growth of her going from a shy girl who's afraid of everything to a more confident version of herself who wants to take risks and do better for herself and her life.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, so working so deeply with imagination, what have you learned about the mind through this process?
I have learned that the mind is a very powerful tool for anything we do, really, from businesses to fast food, well, which is a business, but to writing, to doing everything we do. The mind is there, and it's a very, very powerful tool that we can use to create things, help people, help ourselves, and it's just a really great thing.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and there's so much undiscovered about our mind. Yes, our mind can take us so far
Yes.
when we use it. Yes, I want to connect this to our audience because entrepreneurs are also creators. They are building something that doesn't exist yet. What do you think business owners can learn from storytelling and imagination when it comes to creating their vision?
While I'm not entirely certain on the answer to this, I will give the best I can, and I think through storytelling they can boost the happiness of their coworkers or the people that work there and make a more safer, happy business place, workplace.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Because storytelling has the effect of emotions on people,
Mhm.
and emotions are a really big part in life.
Yes, it is. It is. If someone listening us feel stuck right now? How can they use imagination in a healthy and intentional way to move forward?
They can use their imagination to think about two options that they have in front of them, or maybe they have more than two options. And then they think about those specific options to see where they would go if they chose it, to see if it's a right fit for them. Kind of like look forward through your imagination to see how certain things would go before you take the step to, go do that.
Yes, so it requires thinking. Yes,
Yes.
thinking ahead of time instead of just operating based on our physical reality. People can use imagination and imagine different scenarios, yes, which can be their future. And based on
Yes.
that, they can choose which scenario they like, and having that vision will determine what actions they will take today.
Yes. But you also have to be a bit careful when you're also thinking about other paths you can take through imagination, because sometimes it can lead you to unrealistic paths or paths that aren't the best. So you gotta be careful on how far you're thinking and taking it so you don't take the wrong paths or a path that's not possible.
Mhm. Yes, what I'm hearing from this conversation is something powerful. Imagination itself is neutral, but the direction we give it determines the impact it has on our life. We can use it to escape, or we can use it to create, and the moment we become intentional with it, everything begins to change.
Yes.
Looking forward, what kind of impact would you like your work to have on people?
Well, looking forward, I would like it to be a powerful thing for people where they can read my work and honestly just feel good about themselves. That they don't have to worry about things because they're not the only person dealing with whatever they're dealing with. Or maybe they're not dealing with anything at all. Maybe they're really happy in life. Either way, reading my books, I hope makes them even more happy.
Yeah, that is great that you have such a good intention to help people to be happy, yes, or feel happy, because not many
Yeah.
people, even if they have good life, but still they can worry about something, yet that even doesn't exist, because we know that most of worries is just in our imagination, yes, and
Yes.
99% of what people afraid or think that something will go wrong never will happen. So ability to really be happy at this moment and enjoy life is a big gift, and this is what people can create. Yes, and as you said, you help people to develop that happiness and understanding that they are already happy. They don't
Yeah.
need anything else. Yes, they just can enjoy life as it is.
Yes. That's exactly what I hope for.
Yes, to everyone listening to us, be intentional with what you allow into your mind, because what you repeatedly imagine, you begin to believe, and what you believe, you start to live. Your future is not accidental, it is created first in your mind, and that is why we have to use our imagination very wisely. Yes, because it can take us so different directions. So if we wisely choose the direction, it will make a good impact on our life. And if you enjoyed this episode and found value in our conversation, make sure to subscribe to Mindset to Results podcast, and so you don't miss the next episode. And if you're ready to go deeper and start creating real results in your life, business, visit mindset2results.com, and of course, check the books which Neo Shadowfall written, and the links to his books will be also mentioned in the description of this video. And before we wrap up this episode, Neo, if there would be something, one maybe advice from your experience that you would like to share with people, what would that be?
Well, right now I'm struggling with the emotion of fear. But I have learned that fear is just something that wants to hold you back. If you want to move forward in life and get what you want, your dreams, um, just anything that you're looking forward to, any of your dreams, you got to conquer your fear because the fear will definitely hold you back. And the best way to conquer your fear is to look inside of yourself because you yourself are strong enough to conquer anything as long as you try your hardest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so true. And most fear is just in our head. And sometimes the ability to focus something else, yes, to change the focus and to find the powerful, meaningful reason in our life. Yes, like something which will
Yes.
be bigger than the fears, or even taking care of somebody. Yes, be really valuable person, helping somebody. Yes, to find something really big that will be much bigger than those fears. It will help to shift our emotional state.
Yes, just like I also think that happiness is something that most people don't have in the world for whatever reason. Maybe their life is going bad right now. They just lost their job or just got divorced or something. But I think happiness comes from within. No matter what, I think it's possible to be happy, and it comes from within. But that's what I think.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is so true. I totally agree with you. It is not from outside that our happiness come, because there are people in some countries which live maybe for $1 a day with family and feeding their family, and they are happy, children are happy. Yes, and there are people who have everything like material things, many houses, and they're not happy. So it is not about material things, it is really something, I think, that what we really value in life. Yes, like when
Yeah.
people take things for granted, they can be healthy and they can be not happy. But the person who is in the hospital and maybe was told that he has just 1 day or maybe a week to live, yes, he will value every second. He will value that happiness, even that he is living those few days which are left for him, and he's so happy. Or maybe he was told that he has 1 week and then it is 1 month, right? So he
Yeah.
will be happy just even for 3 extra weeks to live. And other people who have so many years and they find reason why they are angry or why they are not happy or what somebody upset them. Yeah, so it is all really mindset, and it is so important to be grateful for everything we have in life and appreciate, not taking things for granted, and use our
Yeah.
imagination in an empowering way.
Yes. Because you never know what can happen.
Yes, you never know what can happen, but we all know that we are so powerful. We are given imagination and other mental tools to create anything we want in our life, and imagination is one of the biggest and strongest tools. It is like we have a workshop, workshop in our mind, and there are different tools, and our mastery, how we learn and how we develop different tools in our workshop, will determine how successful we will be in our life. And everybody are given these tools. It's just our part, our responsibility to find these tools and develop them as more as we can.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much, Neo, for being amazing guest on our podcast and sharing your vision and about your creativity. And I'm looking forward to speak to you again, maybe in our future episodes.
Yes, maybe. And I had a great time as well, so thank you.
You're welcome.